What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our live stream. There's no need to do a whole lot of introduction. Let's get through this fight. Roll initiative, you guys.
Didn't we just finish a fight? Oh, that's right.
You tried to finish a fight, and somebody.
Somebody got upset. Oh, whoops. I forgot to put that on my character. Okay. So I had a. Did you pick up my initiative?
Sarah, you are up in the initiative. Am I not on?
You're breaking up, dude.
You're slowly dying.
We win.
Okay, yeah, I'm on. I don't know why we got Glorpy all this. Congratulations.
Okay. I guess I'm on. I thought 17, but... Do you need a minute?
Anyone here?
Yeah, we can kind of hear you. You sound like a synth who's been punched in the throat. They just heard beep. Beep.
Yeah, I hear it too. It just got super rough. Well, good thing we're not actually streaming. Any better?
It's better now for me.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, lordy.
We're ready for business.
There are a bunch of angry peasants. Now, Sarah's oracle took the tongue's curse, so anytime you're in combat or anytime she's stressed out, she can only speak infernal. So we're going to retcon that she somehow worked around it for 2 sessions, but now she's just chanting in infernal. Go,
Okay.
Sarah.
Jesus.
It's a good thing that I know Infernal as well, so it's probably a cursing and a blessing.
Alright. I'll get within attacking range.
Oh, okay.
What is that in attacking range of, exactly?
Wait, what? Oh, wait, not for Joe! Not to attack Joe! No, wait! Damn it! No!
Been waiting for this.
yeah. Is that all, Sarah?
I guess that is my... That's how far I can move. I don't want to move... That's fine. I'm not gonna attack Joe. That's fine.
Joe, you're up.
Okay, I know at the end of last session I said I was going to kill all these peasants. But I need to remember that I'm not...
Now you're breaking up, dude.
I lost you too.
You there, Joe?
He's still neutral good, nothing changes about him.
Okay.
So yeah, they threw a rock at me, it did 2 damage to me. Is there like a trough of water nearby?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're not actually in
We'll say
combat.
they want to fight you. All those guys, like at the end of the session, Joe goes to at ones, and then somebody throws a rock, and hostilities are triggered again.
I know they want to fight me. They'll have to come to me, but I'm not going to do anything. It's up to them if they want to come up to me and die.
Okay.
But where's this trough of water at?
We'll say square is like where that little fire is. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
So I'll go over here, and I'll just like pick up the trough and dump it on myself.
All right, that's good enough to regenerate for me. If that is all, it goes to Van.
Alright, can I make a diplomacy check from where I am and be like, hey, Get him to
Yeah,
calm
I don't see
down?
why not. You can try.
Okay. So, hey, everybody, slow down. Slow your roll.
Hey, you guys!
It's a misunderstanding. It doesn't mean any harm. Let's chillax. Oh, it's not going to do very much good.
13. Yeah, pretty much no one hears you over, like, people slamming pitchforks on the ground and getting ready to basically just run at the party.
Right, okay.
Mercutio hears you and he nods approvingly from the back of his riding dog.
Now he gets to ride it. I'm like, dude. And I look at this guy right here. This he's not dead, right?
He is restrained. He's got like his arms are tied behind his back. Mercutio has his scimitar.
All right. So I'm like, hey, you need to make them stop, or they're all going to die, and none of us want that. So,
can you make that in the form of a check?
I want that.
Skills.
I guess just like another diplomacy check.
All right, here's what I do. So I tell them, okay, I'll make a diplomacy check. I'll save the courtesan for later.
All right.
Oh, Jesus. I'm getting my...
He just kind of like, he looks at you and then he nods like backwards, like leaning, like his arms are tied. He can't do anything, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Do you want to do anything else?
I am not going to get in the way of this fun. I'm going to stay back here and keep an eye on him.
All right, fair enough. Then we go to Donald, who's measuring the board.
Okay. I'm going to see if we can end this fight peacefully, if possible. So I'm going to try to calm down the crowd. So I'm going to be using the cantrip prestidigitation to make myself look more charming.
Okay, sure.
So, people, is this what you really want? Us to crush you and end your rebellion? Why don't you just simply end it now and go back to your normal lives? We do not need to have this unnecessary bloodshed. So if they come and attack me, I would have first spray, so I can at least knock them out.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Roll me a diplomacy check.
So, is there any modifiers I should add?
I'll keep the modifiers on my side.
Okay. Okay, so 24 plus the modifier.
Not bad. Some of them towards the back, they hear you and they look a little less riled up. They lower their pitchforks. They begin like grumbling amongst themselves. But the ones with the red dots, the ones that are baned, they're still hostile. They begin just like throwing insults about your Cheliax bloodline.
I am trying to solve this as possible.
And some of them understand it.
So I end my turn. I would assume the commoners are not marked. They go off then. And then I end my turn.
You guys hear me now?
No. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, my phone derped. Are you done, Donald?
Yes. So if these commoners come at me, I'm going to have colors ready.
Gotcha. Okay, so Mercutio is going to ride his dog up to here, and as he does so, he begins. He pulls his sling staff up and he puts a potion in the where you would put the pellet, and he starts swinging it around, and he begins shouting. Only person in the party who speaks Cheliax is Donald, I believe, unless somebody took linguistics. Am I right? So everyone who speaks Kellish hears him basically like jeering at these guys, like as if Mercutio is going to feed them to his pet monster, and he like motions his head at Enderling, and he's gonna try to intimidate these guys down, which means I got to go to the dice.
Oh, I can't aid him or anything, can I?
You cannot.
Okay. That looks good, though.
Okay.
That does look quite good. Okay, so yeah, everybody, some of the people in the back, they outright just throw down their weapons and run off first into the countryside. Some of them go duck in like the barns you see, or these tents here. We'll leave one group. Like I said, each one of these is about like 30 people all bunched together. Okay. There is one person left on the board. They are not hostile, and we're off initiative.
Okay.
Do I know they're not hostile?
You do. You be common again. Mercutio, he goes back over to this. You guys cap into the dude's side. I start marching. And so,
I'm hearing every third word, dude.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's your internet, not that you're not speaking into the thing.
Yeah,
Well,
my
You're
internet's
loud, it's just that we can't hear the words you're saying because you cut out.
I see.
The internet's been weird all week here.
Yeah. You said earlier.
So I'll just put some. I'll just
Put some
butter
on it.
every third word. Behind back end of his sling staff, and he.
Hey, are you on honest to goodness phones?
Yep.
And are
I'm on
you
my computer.
are you using cellular or are you using your Wi-Fi?
I'm on Wi-Fi. I guess I could just turn off the Wi-Fi, couldn't I?
You could try that. I don't know what your data plan is, but you know.
Yeah, that's worth a shot. Well, we'll
Long enough for 2.5 hours of voice.
yeah.
Of course, that might be worse.
Robot Randy Savage has come with us now. Yeah.
Apparently, it's worse with the Wi-Fi off. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, whoops! I overdid that.
Tell him I disconnected, Sarah.
Yeah, no, you've disconnected, we know.
Oh, really? It says I'm disconnected on my phone, but you can. Fuck it. Everybody can hear me. You guys can. The floor is yours. Mercutio and the soldier begin marching down the road.
Okay.
So, which road? So, north or south?
In the direction of the mine.
Okay, so is that north then?
Duh.
That would be
That's a fun
south
question.
if I remember the map.
I think it's like southwest. Yeah. Here, hang on. I've got a map. I gotta grab the player thing. Where are you guys? Okay, so you guys are. You had stopped at New Kathir, so you guys are here. The mine is there.
Shit. New Kathir didn't look too new to me. They had fucking tents lying around.
It sucks to be them.
Yeah.
So,
It's like New Jersey.
Oh, Jesus.
Woo!
so
I'll drag you guys back here. I don't know if you want to do anything on this screen, but I'll leave you there.
No.
I can't think of anything we want to do in this region here. We completed
Okay.
what we needed to do.
Well, he's bound around his
Correct.
around his wrists. That's the word.
Yeah.
I'll remove the bindings off of his wrists.
Okay.
If
You
anyone
do
has
so.
any-
He kind of like starts rubbing his wrist like it hurt, and he nods and says something to you in Kellish.
Okay, I'll tell him I don't understand you, brown man.
What does he say? Oh,
Do
I'm
I-
standing right there. What does he say?
What did
He
say?
thanks him.
Oh. And why is he talking in Kellish?
He he looks nervously back at Mercutio. Mercutio looks at him and Mercutio points at the sky and surreptitiously reminds the party that you're being scried by Imperial soldiers. So anything else anybody wanted to? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Whoever was talking.
No, I'm fine. I was just going to say I'm going to tell him I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay. He doesn't seem to understand what you're saying either. He kind of cocks his head a little bit. Mercutio slaps him on the back with his sling staff, and he marches on.
So I say to him, "You're welcome. Now we've spared your village. You need to stand down, or there will be others coming to destroy you. Take your rebellion elsewhere.
Take your curved sword."
Okay. Check with numbers.
So, among the dead that we slew, is there anything of note that catches our interest, or is it standard soldier's equipment?
If you make a perception check to search the bodies, you can certainly find out.
18.
Well, I am not trained in this, so I know.
The soldier nods at you, Van.
Okay.
The soldier you did kill has a scimitar and a set of scale mail and a large steel shield on him. The few peasants that did die just have, perhaps a copper, 2 coppers, enough to rub together, more or less.
They have peasant shit.
And peasant shit, yes. There's nothing really, this is just kind of a run-of-the-mill village. There's nothing going on here. It looks pretty destitute.
Right.
Nobody really cares about this place. There's, you might see the average, stray dog wandering around looking really emaciated, ribs popping through and all that. Poor beyond poor, basically.
Yeah, there's a reason they're peasants.
So besides for the armor and weapons, there was nothing really worth looting among the dead bodies. So can
particularly
use the armor?
I don't think anyone can.
I can't.
I mean,
scare mail. Is that medium?
What, scale mail? I can wear scale mail.
Is that medium armor? I think it's medium armor.
Yeah, scale mail is either medium or heavy armor, from my knowledge.
I could wear medium, except then it messes with my spellcasting, and I'm such an amazing spellcaster. Look,
it is also made for a medium creature.
You don't want to. It goes from scale mail to a scale dress.
Right.
He turns into Gimli.
Yeah.
Also, a little tight across the chest.
Yeah, a little tight across the chest. There we go. Okay.
So, did anybody else want to do anything on this screen before we transition?
Nope.
No, I think if he's agreed to stand down, then I'm good.
Okay.
Let's continue onward.
I assume we're gonna have a chance to talk to himself while we're traveling.
Yeah, you definitely would. It'll probably take another couple hours to hike to the mine from where you are.
Okay.
Okay, so during that travel time, I'm going to be using one blood money use I prepared. So I just prepare that those spells, write them down later.
Understood. So you guys, you continue moving through the desert. The soldier trudges along. Mercutio, every 2 or 3 steps, will slap him with the back of his sling staff.
So I ask Mercutio. I say, sorry. So Mercutio, if you knew that we were here on a mission to stop them, and you knew who they were, then why did you egg them on, rather than telling them just to stand down?
Everybody make a perception check. The person sitting 2 feet from me is in the bathroom, so she's taking 10 and gets a terrible. Okay.
I mean, at this point, does the party know what his deal is?
Not really. Everybody has a little bit. Oh. Sarah, make a perception check.
So what do we see?
So everybody but Jill. I'm waiting on Sarah. Sarah might get better than...
Nope.
Oh, that's strictly better. Everybody who isn't Emeritus or Enterling sees Mercutio point at, surreptitiously point at Pogue, and Pogue hears whispered in his head, "All in due time, just play along."
Okay, so who else heard that?
Literally just you. No one else hears it.
Okay.
A couple people see Mercutio point at you. Joe
You
nat
hear
one.
whispered inside of someone's head.
Yeah. Enderling sees it, and for the nat one, you see that that Mercutio is pointing at Pogue, and you are like completely sure that he's cast message to like say something in secret to Pogue, and you don't know what it means.
I'll remember that. I won't say anything.
Enderling will remember this.
As for smacking the man with the sling staff, when he goes to slap him again, I'm going to grab the sling staff out of his hand and be like,
Okay. Yeah, you cut out, dude.
You be like Mike?
Don't be like Mike. This session
from
is a
slamming
session.
this guy over and over again. Yeah.
I see. Okay. You grab Mercutio's sling staff, and you have knowledge arcana, don't you?
Yeah.
Roll it.
During the travel time, so who is grabbing Mercutio at the moment?
Enterling is taking Mercutio's weapon because he keeps slapping the prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you grab his sling staff, and Mercutio lets it go as soon as you grab it. And once you like hold it in your hands, you can feel a magical aura on it. Like you pick it up and you see the butt end of it has been sharpened to a point, almost like a spear.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's keen.
It's not keen. It's like you see that he's been like stabbing this
people
soldier in the back with it, but he's not bleeding. And you get the feeling that it's got the merciful enchantment. So he's just doing non-lethal damage. He's not really hurting him. He's just kind of like he's like playing the part because he knows he's being scried, basically.
All right. So I grab Enderling's arm, or I put a hand on his arm, not like trying to wrestle with him, but just to say, just to give a pause and get his attention and say, Enderling, we know, you know that what I said about telling as much truth as I can and staying safe, this is part of that. I need you to trust me a little bit longer. Give him the staff back.
I wasn't planning on taking his staff. I'm going to give him back his staff. I'm going to tell him that stop beating this man. We've already killed his friends and several of his fellow villagers. He's already suffered enough. If he's going to run from us, he's going to die. If he's going to come with us, he's going to come with us willingly, not because you're prodding him with your staff.
Tom.
Sounds like an intimidate check to me.
Tom, while this is going on, what do I know about the mine? If I don't know much, I will ask the soldier. What are we getting ourselves into exactly?
Okay, so Enderling says what he says, and Mercutio points at Enderling, and Enderling in his head, in Scald, hears the same thing that I told Pogue. Just, all will be revealed in time, just hold fast for now. But it's in, like, perfect Scald down to the accent.
Okay, and with that, I give him back his staff. I'm going to give him kind of a wary look.
Alright, Donald, if you want to know more about the mines, that sounds like some kind of knowledge check to me.
Let's see, would be knowledge, it would be knowledge, local would be best for what
Geography?
What is in the area.
Local would work, geography could work, you could make the argument for history.
I go with knowledge, geography.
Okay. Oh. Okay. I see Pogues, but I don't see those Donalds.
Really?
Okay. Donald, no, you know absolutely nothing. You're like hellish indignance begins to show in your mind. You begin like trying to figure out if you've read anything about this mine in some crappy book somewhere, and you just kind of brush it off because like why would you waste your time in this backwater mine? However, Pogue, you got a nat 1, but you rolled pretty good on it. I'll forgive that nat 1 for now. You know the mines, there used to be dwarven.
Okay.
And they go really, 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 really deep under the earth. And they've been abandoned for a really, really long time. Like there's not an active mining operation there so much as there's just a bunch of holes in the ground.
Okay. I send my little wasp to Lucia, and I say, and I have the wasp say, how far can somebody see underground with the spell that they've cast on us?
Mercutio points at you, and in your head you hear that there's enough lead in the Theodricus mine that once you guys get inside, the scry will break.
Okay.
He goes on to tell you that that's why some of the Eagle's Feather are holed up there, is because that they know that there's a bunch, like the tunnels go down and down, on and on forever. There's rumor that they connect with the Darklands, which is Pathfinder's equivalent of the Underdark, like Drow and stuff. So they can hide out in there almost indefinitely, and if they keep tunneling, they could go all over Galarion.
All right. So my best stage voice, like for the masses up who might be listening, I look at Emeritus and say, well, you're here to crush a rebellion, aren't you? Let's go crush this thing. And then kind of...
That sounds like a bluff check to me.
Look bigger than 3.5 feet tall and...
Get up on your tippy toes. Anyone who wants to disbelieve him is welcome to a sense motive check.
Ooh. I wasn't actually trying to... I wasn't actually trying to
lie.
I wasn't trying to fool her.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just trying to fool like the people at large.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. I probably failed my sense motive roll.
Yeah, I'm not trying to fool her.
Okay. So you're trying to fool the people that are scrying you.
Right. I'm sort of like, hey, we're doing your deal. We're on our way.
Sure. I will make the roll in secret. Emeritus definitely gets the feeling that there's something going on here. Like, this guy isn't entirely on board, and you definitely, like, make a knowledge arcana check, would you? I don't think clerics get message.
Who, me?
No, this is from Sarah.
Oh.
They get sending, which is like better message.
I think clerics can get Arcana at a class scale if they took the knowledge domain.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Emeritus gets the feeling that there's something going on here, and these guys might not entirely be on your side. You see a lot of people, like, whispering to each other. And what do you do about it?
Except for Enderling. Enderling always yells.
Except for Enderling. Enderling always yells. She's chewing. She's not stalling.
She's chewing?
Cheez-Its, to be specific.
Oh, okay.
She's cheese-eating, if you will.
The classic Cheez-It defense.
Alright. I will keep this information to myself for now.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions they want to roll, checks they want to make, things like that?
The mines. So, what type of mine is it exactly using knowledge local?
You rolled really bad on that, didn't you?
Okay, yeah. If I ask what type of mine.
Okay. So you want to ask like Mercutio?
Yes, I ask him. So
He tells you he has no idea.
Oh, okay.
He continues to like reflexively go like he's gonna hit the soldier, and then he stops, looks at Enderling, winks. Not like wink like haha, we have a secret, but winks like sorry, please don't eat my dog, and they continue moving on.
So going down into the tunnels, how many of us have a light source?
Well, I'm sure Enderling has dark vision.
Yeah, I have dark vision 120 and scent, so.
Everybody else is probably. I think halflings might get low light. I forget.
Halflings
It's
do.
normal, I think. Is it? I thought it was the same as human. I'll look.
Off the top of my head, I have no idea. This is the first halfling I've ever had in a game before.
I think it's gnomes that have low light vision. Halflings don't have that vision.
Halflings just get nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Pretty
then
sure.
in that case, the only person who can see in the mines is Enderling.
I have the light cantrip, so that is going to be quite useful. So I'm going to be hiding behind someone.
So that's going to be useful, and so is hiding behind someone. Classic wizard.
True. Inside the song, wizard in the back, fires up front, lyrics in the back.
Liquor in the front, poker in the rear? What?
Yes,
Nice.
that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Well, how about everybody make me a fort save, would you?
A fort save.
I keep forgetting we're hanging out in the desert, and it's pretty hot out.
Y'all ready for mine?
You're used to hanging out where it's hot, aren't you?
Yeah.
One of the other items I have, it is a parasol, so it would be like a 16.
Wait a minute.
Because of your magic umbrella.
No. It's one of the useful items in the ultimate equipment, parasol or umbrella. As long as you're using it in a warm, hot area, you get a +2 fortitude save against heat.
I see.
Hold everything. I had stuff to my roll, not 0.
Yeah,
My
that mag's
bad.
looking pretty sad.
Wait a minute.
Oh my god! No!
So I guess I'm just waiting on Van at this
Yes,
point.
where's the...
You fools! I told you we should have taken by boat.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, guys. I screwed my roll up. Let me roll again.
Where's the
Oops.
stupid... Oh, there's my fort. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so Enderling is fine. And Donald is fine. Mercutio, Stavian, and the soldier are all 3 fine. Let's see here. Pogue is not. Emeritus is regretting the corpse paint and big Pope clothes. So everyone who failed, that being Van and Sarah, take this much non-lethal damage.
Max
Oh.
damage.
Max. Sarah, let's have you take 6.
Wow. Most games that I play in, I don't see the weather rules being used all that much.
We are in a desert, though.
We gotta shake it up.
True.
Anyway, Donald, did you have any more questions you wanted to throw at me?
Nope.
Anybody else?
Wait. So for traveling, we are using the rations and water consumption rules as well?
More or less, but everybody assumes they have food unless, like, I say specifically otherwise that you don't, because that'll get real micromanagey real quick.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Why do I have a spell failure chance?
I have no idea. You rolled well, though.
You're an archaeologist.
I'm an archaeologist. I don't have a spell failure for light armor.
But you have the ability to cast spells at some point, or your
Right.
class, not the archetype specifically, but your class would have the ability, so
Right.
you have that in
No,
your character sheet.
but bards have the ability. But it's because it's studded leather. Sorry, not leather. So does that? I thought
have
that
no
light armor
idea.
didn't. All right. Well,
I mean,
anyway,
studded
whatever.
leather armor is still light armor.
I'm wearing light armor, and I still have a spell failure chance, even though I'm an alchemist, and that doesn't apply to me. So
Right, yeah, neither of you guys should
Okay.
have spell failure chances.
Just the automatic fun. Okay, let's go.
Sweet.
It's
Okay.
there.
So a couple more hours pass. You guys trudge through the desert, and eventually you come upon what is essentially a ghost town. There's plenty. We're playing in fantasy. There's no ghosts, but a bunch of buildings are abandoned. A lot of like mine carts and the like are laying abandoned, like missing wheels and stuff all over the place. And you come to the entrance of the mine. As you do so, Mercutio points his hand back, and he's pointing at Pogue and Enterling, and he says, "Just play along. You guys will be fine."
Okay.
And as he does so, he spurs his dog, and his dog, really out of character for itself, being like all lazy and stuff, it begins like almost galloping into the mine.
Before the dog go in, I'm going to be using one of my spells. I made a copy of. So
Okay.
detect magic in the mine entrance. Halt. Let's see what I can detect before we go into a potential death trap.
Okay.
So what do I see for magic sense?
You cast detect magic.
Yes.
Okay. You don't really pick up a whole lot of anything. Mercutio has a bunch of auras on him, and you probably catch the tail end of that as he runs in. Like a lot of, because you know he's carrying like the bag of mega holding that turns into a super cart and has a giant dog and all this. So there's probably a lot of like transmutation and stuff. But the mine itself has nothing.
So nothing I should worry about about him at the moment.
Correct.
Or item. But I have a few. He have a lot of useful items on him.
Yeah, you know he's got the Libris Mortis among other things. So
okay, so I take note of that on him. So
okay.
So who's going in first besides for the dog?
Before anybody goes in, before anybody has a chance to follow Mercutio, out from the mine come several soldiers, and Mercutio is leading them. Some of them have like Skyrim style going to cast fireballs, so their hands are carrying little baby fireballs. Some of them have bows, some of them have swords, and everybody draws their weapons at you. And a voice from the back that's booming and like almost otherworldly in how loud it is demands that everyone drop their weapons and surrender. I should probably also note that soldier you've been carrying along with you went with Mercutio. He's not just like, okay, I'm hanging out. No, he went in the mine.
Oh.
Several people point. You can't really like pick out different humanoids from the crowd because they're all wearing that same uniform armor like what that guy was, but you can see some of them are larger, some of them are smaller, some of them even like float off the ground a little bit. They continue to look at you guys, weapons drawn, waiting to see if you'll surrender or not.
Wait. So the guards want us to surrender?
Yes.
I say, we accept your surrender.
Okay. Does anyone not accept the surrender?
No. I say we accept their surrender.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We are here to talk to your superior. Is he available to talk to?
He's the voice from behind everybody who's pointing weapons at you just booms out and just repeats the same thing. Drop your weapons and surrender. You will not be harmed.
We will. Group, how about we surrender and try to talk to their leader? We can potentially convince him to end this rebellion without causing much more harm.
Well, I march up to him and say, you have enough people to kill us anyway, so dropping my weapons makes no sense whatsoever. So I'll come along and we'll discuss things, but it's beneath you to disarm us.
Mercutio, he's leading in front of him on the back of his dog.
I glare at Mercutio like, don't push it.
He returns the glare. His dog snarls at you. Now that you're up a little closer, you can see that the dog has, its jowls are a little bigger than you would expect to see on a German Shepherd. And it looks almost like a cat-like, how it kind of, it looks like it's about to, pounce on you, essentially.
because big jowled dogs, they can pounce.
Right.
They can't have to have a bunch of evolution points.
Holy moly.
Does anyone want to not surrender?
So does Papa want to not surrender?
Sarah?
I mean, no, but I also know when I'm outnumbered.
So basically, I'm waiting to hear from Enderling.
You said, does anyone want to not surrender? And
Yeah.
By not speaking, I'm giving my consent.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, he wants to not surrender.
I see. Okay, so the voice from behind the soldiers booms out. Cleric of Asmodeus, come forward. Whatever, Sarah.
I hesitantly step forward.
Make a will save. Okay, you can't nat 20 around the plot, so this still happens. But the nat 20 is noted. It will help you later. Everybody sees Emeritus drop. Like, one of the people in the back begins incanting and casts Hold Person on you. And I'm not going to mechanically roll the damage, but one of the soldiers comes up and with his scimitar still in the scabbard, he slaps you in the back of the head, and it's enough damage. It's essentially a non-lethal coup de grace. They drag you off. Everyone else is the soldiers form a circle around Enderling and Pogue and Lucia, and they tell you to march, and they begin moving into the mine. You guys can see Emeritus is dragged off, and like a side passage opens, and he is dragged off out of sight. You guys march for probably every bit of an hour as you move down these tunnels, which are well lit. You don't need to worry about light sources. There's plenty of torches all over the place. And as soon as you guys can't see the entrance to the mine, Mercutio, he tells you guys he's really sorry for everything he had to do. He needed to get somewhere that the Imperials couldn't scry on him. You turn a corner and make a perception check. Everyone who's not Sarah.
Mercutio, we are going to have a severe... we are going to have serious talk after this. You have a lot of explanation to us.
Does Lucia speak Draconic?
Yes.
The dog in Draconic says, "Silence, whore," and then growls at you.
I simply take the comment and just grumbles on.
So you guys turn the corner and you see the mine sort of opens up, and there's a bunch of makeshift tables and stuff have been set up. There's plenty of people of all shapes and sizes from all across Galarion are basically at rest here. You see some people are training, some people have like crappy little tables have been set up and they're playing cards. There's little makeshift campfires where people can make rations, and as you turn around the corner, Mercutio bounds forward on his dog and he begins digging around in his bag, and in Kellish he begins like almost like Santa Claus to little kids, just starts like pulling all this really really extravagant food out from his bag. And people they don't swarm him like he's in trouble, but they definitely swarm him and his dog as they get handed out all the food and supplies and stuff. A door opens out of the side of the wall, and the three of you hear this booming voice ask you to enter.
All right, I look at Mercutio and I'm like, this better be good.
I go to the door with the rest of the group. I knew Mercutio was hiding something, but I'm going to at least learn why he did this when we talk.
That's what you're saying out loud?
I just think that's in my head.
Okay.
I see. Yeah, Mercutio has lost sight of you guys entirely. He's too busy passing out rations to the soldiers.
All right. Well, I march in pissed off.
Okay, so you enter the room, and a very lavish dining table has been set up. Food a lot of it is more of what you would expect to see in northern Avistan. Lots of roast pork and potatoes and vegetables and stuff have been arranged like food fit for a king. There are 3 drinking horns have been placed at 3 chairs in kind of like a triangle formation in this like really long like great hall in a Whiterun kind of table. Nobody else is in there though.
Okay, so seeing this,
The door shuts behind you and it merges with the wall in such a way that you guys don't know, like as if there was never a door there.
Seeing all this, Lucia, she is impressed. For a bunch of rebels, they know how to make good food, but this is in her head. Yeah, she is looking at the food. I am impressed so far.
So Pogue turns a little bit red and shouts out at, just up in the air, like, somebody shouting at something they can't see that's bigger. Like, so this is what you do. This is your rebellion. There are halflings dying slowly, and this is what you do. Some rebellion. This is.
No response at all.
I'm going to sit down, do everything that I would do at a meal of this sort.
I would probably ask if it's okay for us to sit down.
There's no one to answer that reply.
Clearly, it's okay for us to sit down. There are 3 chairs for us all. Like I said, I'm going to sit down and I'll do everything that that I would do before I would eat. As a Northman.
So the booming voice, I want to figure out what causing it. So would that be a spellcraft roll?
Up to you.
Let's see. It's probably magical, or at least some item. So I would say probably. I'm just going with the spellcraft roll.
Now, detect magic's a cantrip, right?
Detect magic is indeed a cantrip.
So, is there anything for me to roll, or do I just say I want to detect magic?
You just cast detect magic, and detect magic happens. So
I probably failed the roll for.
Yeah, you don't. You assume some kind of magic, but that's all you know.
Yep.
Jeez.
That is a lot of text. Outsiders and elementals are not magical in themselves, but if they are summoned, okay. So the table and all the food and all the the drinking horns, they resonate. Like, they're not magical, and it's not like this is magic pork, but it was put there by magical means. I don't know the schools of magic off the top of my head. I think it'd be what is something from evocation. It's probably not an evocation spell at all, but
it would be transmutation if you want to do something that changes.
It's stuff like that. You get the idea.
Okay.
Like, the food is not magical, but the food was placed here magically.
Cool. Disembodied voice. So, are you going to come in and talk to us?
You guys continue to get nothing.
Andrew's going to stuff his face. And I totally forgot this, but I have a third hand now. So I'm going to be stuffing my face 3 times.
3 times. So as Enterling eats the food, you guys can all see that the food regenerates. Like, he takes a bite out of a piece of meat, sets it down, and the ye old turkey breast regenerates itself. The drinking horn fills back up with mead, not unlike what you would find in your homeland. Okay. And just no matter how voracious he gets, it continues to just reappear.
I'm going to enjoy the meal. And with the body being taken away, Papa, could I guess what would happen to him, using my knowledge?
You can assume that, make a knowledge religion check, actually. You can assume nothing, pending dice rolls.
Let's see. A Asmodeus priest in a land where Asmodeus it is not liked.
I know why they were taken, right?
It's probably a bad juju, or probably there's going to be a talk to Papa.
Make a knowledge religion check, Donald. Oh, there it is. I see it now.
So 17 for religion.
Okay, so both of you, you know that you've been that the rebellion is being aided by the cult of the Dawnflower, which is a off branch of worship of Serenre. Serenre is normally all about stuff like redemption and it doesn't matter how evil you are or how wicked you were, everybody can change. The cult of the Dawnflower is more like, we'll give you one option to redeem yourself, but if you don't, we're just going to kill you and be done with it and let Pharasma sort it out, that kind of thing.
Okay, so the
You are sure that Papa Emeritus was taken from the group because Papa Emeritus is an overt worshipper of Asmodeus in Serenre territory.
So the armor the guards have, this is just regular armor, not the followers, religious soldiers armor?
You didn't see any identifying mark.
Okay.
It looked more like something to disguise people with, so everybody looks the same.
I know who they are, though, right?
You do.
Right.
As you were moving in, you guys would have seen the blue and gold colors of the Eagle Knights of Andoran. There's probably some people with their shields thrown over their back as well. Like, the people that survived the Eagle's Folly and have come here, what few are left of them are regrouping here.
Right. Well, if Donald stops role-playing in Lucia's head, then we can...
I'm going to end my turn here, but I take mental notes of what people are in here.
All right, so for a split second, the room gets unbearably hot. Not for long enough for you to take damage, but just for a split second, everybody starts to sweat. And in the room appears at the head of the table, essentially a giant red humanoid. He had what looks to be 4 horns running across the top of his head, but they had been cut clean off Hellboy style, to where he just has the little 4 nubs. He stands probably every bit of 12 feet tall, if not more. And you can see at his side, on a jammed into a sash, there's a broken scimitar. It's just the hilt and a little bit of blade, but not enough to do any damage. He spreads his arms wide, and Enderling hears it in Scald, Lucia hears it in Infernal, Pogue hears it in Halfling, and Enderling would hear something along the lines of "Welcome, son of the North, to my humble abode," where Lucia would hear just more like a cold just welcome, and Pogue hears "Welcome to the rebellion." The figure seats himself at a giant chair, which appears out of nowhere, and he begins eating.
All right, I snort and Shaw, what rebellion is this?
He mage hands some food to you. A little leg of turkey flies across the table and hovers over your head, and in your head, in your language, you hear "Eat, be happy, you have come to join us."
It's drunk,
What is
don't
this?
do it.
The rebellion against hunger?
The figure explains that he's just being generous. You are guests in his home, and it is his duty as a servant of the Dawnflower, even unto his enemies, to make sure everyone is taken care of. And as he says enemies, he looks at Lucia and this big grandiose thing he's trying to pull off. He you see a death glare go Lucia's way, and then it's just for a split second, and then he goes back to just open arms, welcome, please eat, enjoy yourselves.
Well, at least you're doing your duties as a host.
He nods, continues to eat.
It is important for people to follow the traditions. The day that hosts are no longer hosts, and people not being civilized in a civilized world, it is a day not worth living anymore.
In your head, in Infernal, you hear "you would think," Asmodean. And then he goes on to say that you've helped an old friend of mine cross the border and bring valuable supplies to the rebellion, so I will give you one chance, but if we meet on the battlefield, or if you do something untoward to my followers... And then he pats the busted scimitar at his side.
Listen, you fat-ass redhead. What'd you do? Have halflings make this in your slaves in your kitchen?
He snaps his fingers and the food like doubles and triples upon itself.
Mm.
He says he doesn't need anyone to make food for him. He is powerful enough on his own.
Little one, angry lady, sing our gracious host.
Yes, how dare they?
Mm. All right.
And Enderling's head enscald with, again, like the perfect accent as if this is a native son of the North. The man tells you that he's happy to see someone from the lands of the Lenorm Kings grace his halls. His people are in need of fighters of your stature, and he's heard of the deeds of the Ulthan warriors from the lands of the Lenorm Kings. He wishes he had 100 men just like you.
I nod my head, no. I'll tell him I don't know how I got here, but I'm sure that if more stumble on my either unfortunate circumstances or fortunate circumstances as they occurred to me, he may well have another 100 of them or so.
You hear a like booming laugh in your head, and he nods. He stands up and he snaps his fingers, and the food all disappears.
I want to see. I'm doing sense motive to see if I can sense what's going on with in Enderling's head. Like I'm just like, trying to read his face.
You can probably get a little bit of the gist, yeah.
Like, so he's kind of like buying into whatever's going on. So I Pogue mellows out a little bit, and he's like, "Well, God, I can't win today." So sort of slumps shoulders a little bit, like. So that's what goes on with him. All right.
So, like I said, the man snaps his fingers. Well, I shouldn't call him man. The large humanoid snaps his fingers, and all the food disappears. The drinking horns disappear. The table disappears. He stands up, and he begins walking towards you, and he tells you all that he'll be brief. The Kadirans have been enslaved for too long. Much of southern Avistan has been enslaved for too long, and at the discretion of the Dawnflower and people sitting on higher pedestals than himself, it's time to overthrow the shackles of essentially slavery and reclaim Qadira for itself, if not all of the southern Avistan for the nations that once held it. A general call has been put out across Galarion, across the multiverse, and plenty of people have answered this call, but plenty of people have also died, and the man tells you that he could use all the help he can get. He can't really pay you guys that much, though he can make lavish food appear at a snap. Riches and magical equipment and things like that for an entire army is a little harder to come by. He says he'll do what he can, but really the only thing he can offer you guys is warm beds and the thought that you guys are doing something with your lives, helping people free themselves, essentially.
I'll ask him, enemies who fall in battle, what do you do with their equipment?
He tells you that if someone can't get to them in time to bring them back to the land of the living, they will do their best to return the equipment to a friendly base, or if they think it's going to fall into the hands of the Empire, they'll destroy it.
You're saying enemies or or allies?
Enemies who fall in battle, what do they do with their equipment?
Oh, I'm sorry, I heard allies who fall. Enemies who fall in battle, they'll take the equipment, they'll take what they can use. If they can't use it and think the Empire can't use it, they'll destroy it. Basically what you would expect.
Yeah. Oh, so
I'll tell him I don't exactly care. The reason I would be traveling out here, though it is premature, and understand, Enderling is not saying this anywhere near as well as I am. I have 0 charisma, but I have 18 intelligence. So I have the words, but the words don't come out well. As long as I can take the enemy's riches and take their glory, that's payment enough for me. As long as you're truthful, that is.
He nods and he says, "You're welcome. You can find on the battlefield." He approaches you, and as he gets closer to you, you can feel waves of heat radiating off this guy. And he extends his hand, which ends in like 4 or 5-inch black claws in Enderling's direction. And he asks if he can welcome you to his rebellion. If anybody's there, I can't hear a word.
Why do I feel like you're making a deal with the devil?
Make a knowledge planes check, actually, Van, would you?
Although I get to do it because I'm a bard, so I get it. Yeah.
Right. It's a little less that he's making a devil. He's making a deal with a freebie.
Oh, I'm back. Hello.
Hello. So did you hear anything I had said, Joe?
No.
The man walks up to you, and you can feel the heat radiating off him in his hand, and he asks you if he can welcome you into the rebellion.
Truthfully, he reminds me a lot of my father's closest friend and the man who taught me how to fight, Torvald. If he is as honorable as Torvald, then yes, he does. He'll have my blades and my teeth.
And your teeth. So he takes your arm, and like you feel like your hand gets really hot for a second, and then you pull it back, and you can see that on your right palm, Serenra's holy symbol has been branded into it. For those of us who don't know what that looks like, think like an Ankh, but it's in the shape of an angel. Like she's got her arms outstretched and her wings are up over her head to form that like circle on an Egyptian Ankh.
Okay.
I ask him whether or not this is simply for the purpose of identifying myself as a member of your rebellion. For my soul does not belong to Serenra, my soul belongs to Thor.
The man chuckles and he says, of course, it's just because these times are dangerous and this will identify you. Should you get lost behind enemy lines, your soul is destined for wherever your soul is destined to go, and he has no stake in that.
Excellent.
The humanoid turns to Lucia and gets like right up in your face, and you can feel the heat like radiate off this guy, like I had said. And he tells you he's going to be very frank. Any other circumstances, he would put you down where you stand for your service to Asmodeus. It's what he does, it's what his god has demanded him to do, but these are strange times, and he needs all the help he can get. The figure goes on to explain that Cheliax it rules in theory, it has its autonomy, but it hasn't had real power since the Empire conquered it. If you're willing to help the rebellion, in a perfect world, eventually the rebellion will spread across the Inner Sea and all the way back to Cheliax, and though he's reaching at this point, he's more than willing to help Cheliax liberate itself. He extends his hand, and he says he'll give you one chance.
Is he thinking, Lucia could probably use this to advance to improve Cheliax somehow?
You say you're thinking this?
No. In her head, do you think I can use this to my advantage?
So a booming voice in your head, like in Infernal, just shouts out, "I don't care what your machinations are. Just don't do anything to my people, and don't do anything that won't help the cause."
I will help you and your cause, but I'm going to ask you one favor. And this is something your people can probably do. You're being quite resourceful and knowledgeable. I am looking for one very, very specific book. Are you familiar with the Taldane Empire and the Rune Lords?
He looks at you and in your head booms out, "Why?"
Well, I am after a very specific book that a Rune Lord had. You help me by getting me information where this book is, and I help the cause.
Okay, sounds like a diplomacy check to me.
Let's see, did I use my hero point up already?
I don't think you did. If you had, you would have got it back at the end of session for role playing. So from where I sit, everybody should have 1 hero point.
Yeah, I do. So I'm going to be using the hero point. So 23. Is that high enough that I don't need to roll?
What do I roll to see if I can do a help action?
To do a help ad, that's you roll diplomacy and it's like DC 10, I think, to aid another.
Okay, it's okay.
So
Aid another is DC 10 as a standing action.
23 is pretty high, so I'm not going to use my hero point.
Oh.
It was pretty high, and then someone who wanted to aid it up won again.
No, well, actually, so actually, to be honest, I'll tell you what I was going to do. I was going to try and help the devil, because I don't trust whatever Lucia's doing.
Like I had said, when you rolled knowledge points, this isn't a devil greedy.
They're free, yeah.
Yeah.
If you would, just looking at so you're saying this to me? You don't trust me?
No, I'm just saying if I'm going to help, I'm looking at you like,
well,
this is new. Lucia, what are you up to, and why do I know about this? Why am I hearing about this now?
Well, I am a person after power, and the Rune Lords, they're a specific book that I want. I care not what the future of Cheliax is. As long as I have what I want, I'm happy.
Yes, but in Cheliax, power is power over halflings. So I do not trust you.
Well, I treated you like an individual so far, so on good faith, I will continue to treat you like an individual. Do you need me to make another deal with you to say I will treat you humanely, nicely, like a person?
I treat you at your word too. But when new information comes out, then I have to reassess it. And although we may have an understanding, the nobility of Cheliax and the halflings in Cheliax do not.
Not all the nobles support the king. You know that. And some of them don't even like slavery. It is just the diabolical houses that make sure slavery stay in place. Me, I am indifferent. As long as I have what I want, I'm happy.
And you are not a diabolical house, follower of Asmodeus.
There are different type of people in the faith. I prefer to follow his law side more. So that even means the law of the universe of treating people right.
Are you lying in any way, shape, or form?
No. I am not lying. I follow the law and contract side of as my ideas. As long as I give my word to say I do something, I do it. It pretty much, if a person casts gears on me, I do that pretty much.
Okay.
Nice. So someone just rolled something.
Yeah.
Okay, so you crit. What are you rolling sense motive for, Van?
I'm rolling to see if she's telling the truth.
I am telling you the entire truth. As long we
and you are completely sure of that.
As long as we treat each other as equals, I get what I want, you get what you want, and we agree to the social contract of treating people the way that they need to be treated. We should get along well enough.
So what are you after, and how is it going to harm my people in this cause? I saw you looking at Mercutio's store of many things.
Mercutio have a item on him. Me, if I'm going to be helping Mercutio along, it's going to be a form of payment, and that's it. Knowledge. I want knowledge for knowledge sake.
Yes, but people, you just said you wanted it for power.
Yes, power come in many forms.
So you take his power to increase your power.
Yeah,
and you make an agreement with somebody for payment, and they don't know it. That doesn't sound very lawful to me, Lucia.
I will talk to Mercutio, make a deal with him to aid him. I will get what I want. He will get what he wants, and it's going to be win-win.
The humanoid in the room, as you guys have like talked amongst yourselves, he's started like wandering around a little bit, and then he hears you bring this up, and he approaches you again, and he snaps his fingers, and like about 6 inches above his outstretched left palm floats this really old tome at like a 45-degree angle, like it's rotating on like the bottom of its spine. It looks like it's been stitched together by human flesh. Someone's
Okay.
rolling it there.
So let's
No, it's
see.
me. I just got a 10.
I am
Okay.
going to do Knowledge Arcana. Let's see, if it's stitched by flesh, I think I know what book it is, but I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so 19 Arcana plus Wizard's Knowledge on top
Plus
of
wizard
it as well.
knowledge. Pogue is just sure it's some kind of spell book. Ennerling and Lucia are both entirely sure that he's holding the Libris Mortis, which Ennerling would know would be like the most like ancient and sought out tome in regards to the school of necromancy.
Okay,
So do I
I
have
figure
enough?
he booms out like, "You want this?" and he snaps his fingers and it
Correct.
disappears.
correct.
He tells you just flat out, "You cannot have it."
What do I need to do to get it from you? I am a reasonable person. You seem reasonable enough. We can make a deal.
He laughs and awaits the response. Like he folds his arms and just like he'll hear you out, but you get the feeling that it's going to take a lot of persuasion on your part for him to be willing to part with that.
If I agree to help the rebellion to its fullest in this region, can I have the book then?
Diplomacy check.
Let's see. If I fail this roll, then I'm probably going to be using the hero point. So, let's see, 19. I'm going to roll.
Burn your hero point.
So,
So 16.
yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure if your hero point to reroll, you have to keep the second.
yeah. So, okay. So,
The man in this booming voice, well, you all know, Freedy in this booming voice laughs out and he says that the Libris Mortis will never fall into the hands of any humanoid, for it is too powerful. Too many powerful creatures of evil seek it out. Though the figure lacks the ability to destroy it, the least he can do is keep it locked away somewhere far, far away. And he turns to face Lucia and just, "Do you have a problem with that, witch?"
nope. It's going to be nope. Not a problem.
So he extends his hand again in Lucia's direction, and
Now
he asks again,
now,
"Will you
about
join my
the-
rebellion?"
Now, if I do join, the favor of the location of the other book, the Shidrin Tome. Can you help me at least in that area?
He looks at you unblinking with his hand outstretched.
So he's not going to help me in that area whatsoever.
You don't know. He
So
doesn't respond.
Pogue looks at Lucy and says, "Well, dear, it looks like if you want to exist long enough to even search out this stuff, then it's better to fight and live than to object and die."
True. It is better to submit at times to your betters.
The Afridi continues to wait with his hand outstretched.
Okay, fine. I agree to help you and your cause out.
So you take it, and your hand burns as Serenri's holy symbol is burnt into your palm. And in your head, Lucia hears, "I don't care what you do to the bodies of the enemy, but if you if you animate the corpses of a member of this rebellion, I will find you. I will send you to hell myself." He lets go of your hand.
Okay, fine. I will not. Talking to him, I will not do that. It's not worth my time. Now enemy corpses are not of the faith. That is safe for resurrection then.
The Afridi turns in Pogue's direction, and as he does so, he gets down on a knee so he's a little close. He's still like towering over a halfling, but it's about as close as he can get without just prostrating himself. And he says, "My friend, welcome to the cause. My name is Mustafa. I know I don't need to ask you, but will you join my rebellion?" His hand outstretched for you.
So, Poe crosses his arms, like pointedly, like tucks his hands in his armpits. Says, "This rebellion, what are you going to do with the halflings afterwards?"
He tells you that when they're done, the halflings are free to make their fate wherever it is they want to go. He has no, like, he's not going to, like, conquer the land and then enslave it and surrender his name instead of, like, Asmodeus or Abadar say.
And what if the nobility that is enslaved to halflings? What then?
They will be tried and punished.
So then I look at him with a little grin, a little crooked grin. I say, "But if they're tried and punished," and then I say, "Then who will be my customers?" And I pout a little kiss at him and wiggle my ass. I say, "Tell me about this mark that you are placing on people." I'm a follower of Callistria.
He tells you that the mark won't change anything about you. He goes on to explain that in these times, often people will pretend to be who they aren't, and this mark will help people identify other members of the revolution should you get stuck in Taldor, say.
So
he tells you they've got eyes and ears all across the inner sea. It won't change your fate, it won't change where you go when you die, anything like that.
So let me ask you this. I'm obviously, and I hold out my hands, and I am not a frontline fighter. My ability to change who I am and to fit in and to sneak is the strongest ability that I have, and what I have to offer to any rebellion or to my own cause. Would it not be better if I could be seen as not a follower as well? As not a part of the rebellion?
He asks what you mean.
What if you need somebody to sneak or go undercover? Wouldn't it be better if I was caught as a runaway slave rather than a follower of the rebellion by the enemy?
He kind of like chuckles to himself and he holds up his left palm and you see like Serenra's holy symbol almost like burns itself into his flesh to where you can see it, and then like a line of fire traces around it back into his hand and it's completely gone. He tells you that if you were to get caught, and if you're trying to do like, if you want to go sneaking around, the mark he's putting on you won't inhibit that in any way, shape, or form. And as a matter of fact, Ennerling and Lucia can both look at their hands and see that Serenra's holy symbol is gone. If you think about it for a little too long, it starts to appear in your palm, and then as soon as you stop focusing on it, it disappears.
And if it disappears, is there any other type of mark that somebody could pick up on that I was related to this rebellion in any way?
He doesn't think so. Of course, he says powerful magic is powerful magic, but if someone was going to be able to pick up that you were a part of his rebellion, they'd be able to figure that out whether or not they could find the holy symbol.
That's a good point. What I want is not the freedom from these nobles, but also in Taldor. And I know that may not be your fight, but that is my fight. And I want information on the big cannon. Will you provide me with that after we do your bidding?
He tells you that he will do what he can. He's sure that if the rebellion gathers enough steam, and he's sort of hoping it does, so the Empire will start sending its troops from Taldor into Qadira. He's basically like, you're looking at like the fire starting to spark up, and he's hoping it grows to such an inferno that all of the Empire comes down to face him and his men. He's sure that eventually the rebellion will spread to Taldor.
Because I want the Taldor to fall as well.
He tells you he does too.
All right, so I look at him sideways, like, and I stick my hand out and kind of accept whatever it is he's going to do and kind of squinch my eyes closed, like, I'm going to regret this, aren't I? I'd stick my hand out too.
All right, the same thing happens to you that happened to everyone else. Your palm burns for a split second, and you see Serenra's whole palm.
Okay.
Ifrit steps back, and he looks at all three of you, and not in your head this time, speaking in, well, you still hear it in Scald, Infernal, or Halfling, respectively. He asks what you want to do about the priest of Asmodeus. He asks if you think the priest might be above redemption, if there's anything at all you can do to save them. The penalty, well, not necessarily the penalty, if he finds people who are that deep in the faith wandering around in under normal circumstances, he would just have them put to death because he's sure that these people are working for the good of the Empire. But he says if you guys think this individual can be redeemed, he's open to it.
This is a proposition. So for that individual, have you ever heard of the Giza spell? Or what would be the equivalent of a high-level command spell?
He certainly has.
Okay, so give him a ultimatum. If he doesn't agree to his life being spared to help the cause, then he dies. If he agrees, then put him under a yeast to make sure he agrees to aid the cause.
The only problem is Lucia and Big Redhead is that what happens afterwards?
Let's see. After the spell is cast, they agreed in the first place to do the following task. Once the task is done, the keys have no effect on them.
But
And
he
so-
still has his memory, and that and the information gathering would be more.
There are ways to alter people's memories, and that
Why
can
don't
be,
we?
that can be easily fixed.
Why don't we bring him out and see what his intentions are? Why he's here? What he wants?
Mustafa tells you that he's absolutely not going to do something like cast a compulsion on someone to do his bidding. His church, they preach that everyone can be redeemed, but they have to choose that for themselves. You can't force it upon them, or he's no better than the dark gods they follow in the first place.
And look at
Brings up dark gods. What in Ulfenlands, if a man burns down his own house, as long as the fire doesn't spread to other houses, we don't care. But if a man tries to burn down another person's house, we drag him to the bottom of a lake. So what I'm saying is, if the Asmodean priests wish to worship their religion, let them worship their religion. But if they want to go around trying to spread it forcefully, then we do something about it. I say that would be an excellent compromise to bring him to our side.
however,
Mustafa nods his head thoughtfully.
his purpose. Sorry, go on.
One very useful when it comes to making deals and convincing people is using their weakness, what they want, as a bargaining chip. It helps get one party what they want and the other party to do said task and get what they want in the process as well.
Unless they're way stronger than you are, bookworm.
True. Sometimes we need to bow to our superior. Say yes.
Yeah, I'm too
Even if-
short to bow to anybody.
Well, you can bow still. It's not the same height as a human or a troll can, but we can all bow to a superior power.
Yeah,
Mustafa, as you guys are saying that, like, he begins, like, mulling things over in his head. You can see, like, he's making a big deal out of, like, looking up into the sky and, this kind of thing. He agrees with what Ennerling says, and he, not common, he's speaking in tongues. In tongues, notes that the wisdom of the North, again, proves itself to be superior in everyone, like, just kissing Ennerling's ass as much as he can.
So I turn to Mustafa and I say, I am really against these people as a class, as a whole, and their god and what they've done to my people. As a person, we should hear what this person has to say, find out what their motivations are and what they bring to the table. And if they can help us, then so be it. If they can't help us, then they should be removed. Now, I do not say so in terms of a death, but perhaps on a ship back to Cheliax.
Mustafa nods his head and he snaps his fingers. As he does so, Papa Emeritus, like, materializes about 3 feet above the ground and collapses around you guys. Sarah, you've been stripped of your gear, you've been stripped of everything, your face paint has been washed off. You guys essentially just see a human male in his small clothes. You're still paralyzed, and as you, like, you come to and you see everybody. Do you have knowledge planes? Make knowledge planes.
All of us, or just her?
Just her. Everybody else knows this is an Afridi. Secretly hoping she would nat one and see big red thing and think the devil. Okay, so the figure standing above you is about 12 feet tall. He's got crimson red skin and would have 4 horns, like, arranged, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, but they've been cut off to where he's got just clean nubs. He has a broken scimitar hanging from a sash at his waist, and he draws it. As he does so, it bursts into this bright yellow light as if you were looking at the sun, and he puts it about a half inch above where your neck is. And in your head, in Infernal, you hear just booming, "Priest of Asmodeus, you have come before me. Why?" Why? You get the feeling this dude, like, he's not having any of your shit. He wants you to just spill the beans right now. And, like, you see his sword, like, you've heard of Sunblades, you know, followers of Serenre will sometimes be handed them out, and you know that this thing could hit you with all the fury of, like, the sun itself if he chooses to ram it into your heart, and it's about a half inch above your neck right now. You definitely get the feeling your life is hanging in the balance. Everybody else sees this.
We all see this?
My character, she is curious what is going on, but mentally she is quite intrigued what's going on.
Okay.
I want to aid Mustafa. If there's a roll. Then
call it an intimidate check.
Throw some chicken periods
Well,
in.
you could do diplomacy too, I suppose.
So I lean over to Emeritus and I say, Papa, he's not messing around. Come clean for the good of all of us. Otherwise, it's been nice knowing you.
All right. Oh, wow, you rolled it. Sarah, you get the feeling like you are entirely sure this Ifrit is not messing around at all. He says, like, something, like a really quick phrase in Kelish, rather. I always get this screwed up. Those of us who can speak Kelish here, just in the name of the Dawnflower, I smite you. And as he does this, his sword kind of flares up a little more. He begins to levitate a couple inches off the ground, and he just, why are you here, servant of evil? She laughs. Make a will save, Sarah. Make a will save.
Is she saying anything?
She said she was sent to stop the rebellion. Did you guys not hear it?
No.
Sarah, no one can hear you.
Let me try again.
I think my character know that, but she keeps this a secret.
Sarah, I think your mic is not working. Talking to your mic again.
Hello.
Can anyone
No.
hear it?
Yeah, although way far away.
So you're hearing it from my mic.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, sounds like you gotta grab your phone. I don't know why I've spent like $100 on that condenser mic. It doesn't work.
Let me try one more time.
Does it need phantom power?
I don't think it does. It has a
It's okay.
USB on it. It's just like it's
Okay.
made for
Yeah.
and stuff.
Okay.
I heard Fanta power. Like, I don't think pouring soda on it's gonna fix it.
Want a Fanta?
No, phantom power. Yeah.
I'm.
I mean, it has an XLR out, but I don't think that's like. It also has a USB out, so I don't see any. And I use this mic when we're playing with David. So
What's she? Is she trying to power it off a laptop?
no, she's on a gaming computer.
Okay, so it should be providing power.
Yeah,
via
it should
USB.
be more than power.
Okay.
She's trying to log in again.
Okay.
It says she's connected. Go ahead and talk, Sarah.
Hmm.
Well, she disconnected.
I am so surprised that we are making a deal with the rebels. Normally, I thought we would just go straight and kill the rebels, but this is a interesting turn of the series of events.
It's good to be alive, isn't it?
True.
And at the hands of somebody else's mercy, isn't it?
She's switching to her phone. Hang on.
I am alive, and that what matters.
I hope you learned something from this.
Yes.
Everybody else make a will save. Well,
Yeah.
actually, don't make a will save. You guys, Mustafa snaps his fingers again, and a dove lands on top of his head. And as it does so, it bursts into flame. Like imagine like a tiny phoenix, and it begins to look at you guys and feel like like as if you're being pulled up off the ground. If anyone wants to try to resist this, make a will save.
I'm going to see if I can beat it just out of smite.
Out of spite.
Famous last words.
Yeah, I just want to see. I don't know. Something cool may happen.
Is it working now?
Slam it to the ceiling.
Why, yes, it is.
All right.
So again, Mustafa with his sword just like inches from your neck. Why are you here, Asmodean?
I was sent here to stop the rebellion.
Make a will save. Oh, she didn't. Okay, so everybody feels themselves be like picked up bodily off the ground. Lucia and Emeritus try to resist it. They cannot.
So
The scene kind of wipes out, and you guys find yourselves floating above a lake. On the horizon, there's this like bright, glowing, like kind of like you're seeing a city as you're driving on the highway, except instead of seeing just like little pinpricks of light, that would be the lights, you're seeing the sun, essentially. There are boats going all throughout this lake. You see creatures that look humanoid, but with like animal bits, like people with like claws and a lion's mane, or a humanoid with bright green bird feathers and a beak. Rowing what are essentially like giant gondolas that have various humanoids on them. You guys you begin floating over this lake, and inexorably fast you are pulled over this bright light, which ends up being just a giant city. People are moving all over it. Like basically your average city, people are trading, people like it's just essentially just a happy city. And Mustafa looks at Emeritus, and as he does so, Emeritus is pulled like right up to his face. And he says that this is the fate of those who follow the Dawnflower. Make a knowledge points check.
All of us?
Yeah, everybody.
wait, so what for everyone?
Yeah, knowledge of the planes. If you have it.
Okay,
Well,
yeah,
everybody-
I do have it.
And mine it still counts as trained.
Mhm.
Gotcha. So everybody knows that you're on the plane of Nirvana. This is where people who worship gods like Shell and Serenray, basically those who, like in metagamey terms, those of neutral good alignment, when they die, Farazman judges them and sends them here. You're floating over Serenray's holy city, essentially. There would be a building somewhere where Serenray would be, but to be exposed to like a super powerful god when you are just a wee little humanoid would certainly just burn your little brain out of existence because god power. Mustafa turns to Emeritus, who still just bereft of anything but his small clothes, and pulls him, like, flips him over and brings him down almost, like, about 5 or 6 inches away from the ground in just a quick rush of movement. No one reacts. Then he brings you back up and he asks why you would take this away from anyone.
Because I was told to.
By who?
By my church.
He laughs and he asks if this is this the only reason you follow a dark god? Is this the only reason you've sold your soul is because you were told to? As he says this, you are, like, thrown down to where you would almost smack the pavement and you're pulled back up.
The church is my home. It's all I've ever known.
Then no more. He snaps his fingers. You guys find yourselves, you find yourselves, like, you're in a city, not the same city you were in. It looks a lot more mundane. There's not a bunch of bright lights and celestials running around. You hear a bunch of people talking in Kellish, people, like, selling their goods at market. There's soldiers walking around, but they're not, like, they don't have weapons on them. They don't even really have armor. They just have a little badge that marks them as, like, a captain of the guard or something.
Peacekeeper.
And Mustafa, yeah, more or less. Mustafa tells you that this is Kathir. This is Kadira's capital. Before the Empire came, people were happy. People could make their own decisions. Everyone has the right to do what they want as long as you're not harming anyone. He snaps his fingers again, and you guys find yourselves in a church. There's a beautiful stained glass mural with Serenre's image, a woman, angel wings and hair, flame, wearing, like, blue and yellow robes. An old man in, like, the old, like, medieval monk robe with a bald head on top, carrying a scimitar, stands before an Ifrit, which you imagine is Mustafa at a younger age. The priest says something you can't hear, and he picks up his scimitar, and in one swoop, and as he does so, the scimitar bursts into, like, holy fire, cuts Mustafa's horns off. He begins to, like, hiss and spit and writhe on the ground in response to this. Then you see people drag him away. The Mustafa that you guys had come here with gets right up in Emeritus's face again. But this time he's a little less angry and a little more, like, he says that everyone can find forgiveness. I am not from here. I am the plane of fire. He is not. He is from the plane of fire, rather. He tells you that his kind worship tyranny and slavery just as you do, but even he, under the light of the Dawnflower, found redemption. You can find this redemption too. He holds out his hand and he says, I will offer it once. If you would like to find another way of life, other than because my God told me so and because my church, I extend it to you now. And he holds his hand out to you, Sarah.
And I turn to her as he's saying this, and I say, you're a human. You can be anything you want to be.
He does make a point.
You got that bonus feat at first level. You could do anything.
And that +2 into literally any ability score.
Papa,
What do you do, Sarah?
Papa, my recommendation, take the deal and help the group out for the time being.
There is no time being. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Time is a little wibbly wobbly when
I
powerful.
said I help the rebellion out. I didn't say convert.
I meant
said
for
help.
her. For her.
Enderling does not care what she does. He has the right to worship whoever he wants to as long as he doesn't force it onto other people.
What do you do, Sarah? He holds his hand out to you, and he doesn't say another word. He just looks down, and, like, his eyes, they don't necessarily burst into flame, but you can feel, like, the fire of his eyes burning through your head as he waits for a response from you. Being pensive is one thing, but what do you do? She's thinking. The computer is thinking.
Papa's having a blue screen of death moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is the first time this could be for me to see a convert or die scene.
That is essentially the cult of Dawnflower.
Yeah, this is why I don't like the extreme side of good alignments. They are complete pricks.
Hey now.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're not wrong.
I mean, they're good people that are your friend that can work with neutral and evil characters, but it's just certain good pricks, especially DD's good pricks that I don't like, at least for these acts.
Yes, Your Highness. The only good pricks are those of the followers of Calistria.
Yeah. The wasp spins around and like Glee. As much Glee as like a zero intelligence vermin, Joe.
Yeah, don't
And
commit.
then,
Don't
Poe
don't
grabs
say-
his junk and looks at him.
tell me.
So I ask you a question. I'm sorry, I was away from my computer for a split second.
Wait, no, we're waiting on Sarah. What do you do, Sarah?
I heard my name for some reason.
Let Sarah speak.
Oh, I said Pogue.
Oh.
Not, yeah.
I'm kind of backed into a corner here, so if I must.
Mustafa grabs your, like, he's going for everybody else's, grabs your forearm, and everybody sees Emeritus begin to, like, shake as if he's going into shock. And Sarah, for the first time in Emeritus' life, Emeritus feels compassion. Emeritus feels charity, the belief that anyone can, like, strive to be better than they are today. Anyone can be whatever they want, essentially, and whatever stigma you might have today can be something that you get rid of tomorrow. It's all up to you. In your head, in common, you hear Mustafa say that he's not going to force you to convert. It is entirely up to you. If he were to force you to convert, he'd be just as bad as the people who raised you. But he would be remiss if he didn't show you the other side of things, basically. And in the span of a few seconds, memories of what your life could have been if you weren't adopted by the Church of Asmodeus and brainwashed to serve them flood into your head. You see a family, you see siblings, perhaps a pet, growing up and going to basically whatever you want. You see a life where you grew up to be a merchant, a life where you grew up to join like a local militia, a life where you became a farmer. All these choices laid out before you. In a couple seconds, this is over, but to you, it feels like you've lived like 5 or 6 lifetimes. Mustafa releases Emeritus' arm, and the Dawnflower's holy symbol has been branded on your forearm. It goes away pretty much as soon as he lets go. He steps back and he snaps his fingers. You guys find yourselves back in that room in the mines. He bows his head to all of you, and he says thank you for joining his cause. He snaps his fingers again, and he says that though he can't give you much for the time being, he will give you this. And everyone's Emeritus's mace, like all of Emeritus's gear, like whooshes back onto you, down to the corpse paint as well. And Pug and Emeritus's weapons begin to glow with a faint blue light, and both of you get +1, whatever your primary weapon is.
Okay.
Enterling gets an amulet of Mighty Fist +1. And it's the same thing, kind of just like your holy symbol you're wearing around your neck, it lights a little bit and it starts to glow blue, and as it does so, you can see like your claws begin to glow. What do I give the wizard? Do I give the wizard?
Let's see. They have a +1 weapon. So what about a +1 enchantment for the robe?
For the robe?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
I'll give you a +1 enhancement bonus to your... I'll give you an amulet of natural armor. No. I'll give you a ring of deflection, because that applies to everything.
Okay, cool. So
The ring slips onto your fingers and it glows blue. The door that 75% of the party entered opens, and Mustafa tells you guys that he's sure that the Kadirans are going to find you guys. There's nothing to prevent the fact that they know where the mine is and eventually, but it's going to take a few days before everybody gets their stuff together. You're welcome to go out amongst the people, he says. Go make friends, relax. You've been through a lot. In a couple days, he'll have your first assignment.
So I look at him and say, all right, now I need some food and some pussy.
He snaps his fingers, and 50% of the things you ask for appear.
I'll eat the food later.
He laughs.
I would probably have a conversation with Papa later after learning more what the group consists of for the rebels.
Mustafa, he takes a step, like, if you guys are all standing in front of him, he steps to the left, and as he does so, he kind of, like, winks out of existence as if he had dimension doored out, and he leaves you guys, just the four of you, to yourselves. You guys are alone in that room. The wall opens up behind you in such a way that you can leave what was, to one person, like a sort of interrogation room, and to everybody else, the great hall that you feasted in. The floor is yours.
Well, what do you think of your new feature, Papa?
I'm not sure. I need to think about things.
He rather is probably really like introverted. He's probably like, this is the first sentence, if not in Infernal, that Emeritus has said in about an hour of gameplay, probably.
If I remember, this is out of game knowledge, but if they know another language, it's Firebase.
Sounds like a knowledge check to me.
Yeah.
But we don't know that language, so
No. I know if we, at least from a GM point, that actually used them. No, Infernal, and then some other Firebase language, but that's using player knowledge, not in game.
Correct. There is a difference.
Yeah, true.
So what's the point in that?
Well, a point that, well, there really no point. I just remembered.
Okay.
I just speak from my mind what I know.
All right. I thought there was we were going somewhere with it that I need to understand. Does my non-lethal damage go away?
Yeah, we'll say the food is enough. Like, I don't remember exactly what the spell Hero's Feast does, but that happens. I think it heals people.
Okay.
So, like I said, like, you guys can leave. You can hear the sounds of other humanoids conversing and or training all over the place.
Well,
This is a pretty active mine, considering it's been abandoned forever and ever.
All right. Well, considering that Papa doesn't have anything to say, I look at him. I was like, well, I'm gonna go make me some new friends.
Same thing. I'm going to check out the people we may be working with and see what they are capable of. And then I probably would talk to the wizards or the divine casters of the group.
Okay. Does anybody else want to go with him?
No, I'm going to wander around the mines and look for alchemical ingredients, I guess.
Okay, so I hear
The best
Lucia
match.
and Hogue are going off in one direction, and Erling is going off in another. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sarah, what do you do?
I'm probably just gonna try and find like a quiet place to think.
Okay, so we're splitting the party 3 ways. Let's roll initiative again since we're splitting up. I will never get over the fact that Roll20 calls initiative 14.05. Okay, so we'll go Joe, then Van and Donald, and then Sarah last. Joe,
I see. Sarah actually goes ahead of me. Yeah.
because Donald and Van are together. since we're going, one is going this way, one is going this way, two are going this way.
Oh, I don't
Just to
know
keep
that
it-
I'm going with Lucia. I'm going to get some tricks.
No, fair enough. Okay, then we'll run initiative as it says it is. Either way, Joe is still first.
Okay.
Make a perception check.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Choo.
22. Okay, so you exit the room, and like I said, you can hear just the boisterous conversations of several humanoids in pretty much every language. You turn the corner, and there's around makeshift campfires, people are cooking what food they have. Most of the real good stuff that Mercutio brought is gone now. There are people training. There's makeshift tables set up. You can see some people are throwing cards around. Basically just a military camp at rest, more or less, except a lot of people aren't military. There's a lot of non-combatants that are here. A soldier might have brought his wife and children to get them away from the Empire, or so the Empire can't use them as leverage, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'll ask.
Yes. Why do I have the feeling my mic cut out again?
I can hear you.
Make this mic, or this mic, this mic.
Okay, fair enough. So Joe will ask.
Ask just anyone nearby who will understand me. I will ask, how deep did the dwarves, also known as the how long did they, or how deep did they make this mine?
Okay, the most the person that stands out the most around you is a dark-skinned man dressed in these really fine, elaborate purple robes. You see a really exquisite crossbow is leaning on the wall against where he himself is leaning. And you begin to ask people this, and he walks up to you, and he tells you that he has never seen someone who looks like you do. But as far as he knows, the dwarves have dug all the way to the very center of the earth. And he bows, and he introduces himself as Armando.
Oh, Jesus.
Armando sucks.
Wait. So which Armando is it? Is this the female Armando?
I forgot about that. Jeff was going to come play this NPC for a little while, but he got hung up.
The female Armando, I thought, and his lovely spouse.
In this alternate universe, Armando remains male.
Oh, okay.
Certainly, if they've dug as deep as the earth, there must be some fantastic alchemical ingredients.
He nods and just, yes, my beautiful. And as he says beautifully, you can tell he's the words are just straining out of him as he says, just my beautiful friend. As he says this, and you feel your spirits lift a little bit. You feel a little stronger, and
Oh, Jesus.
he turns a corner, and he he motions for you to follow. He mage hands his crossbow, not like he's gonna shoot somebody, but he grabs it and he begins moving down the caverns.
Yeah, I'll follow him warily.
Okay. So you turn a corner, and Armando, he turns around and he looks you up, and Sarah screams. He looks you up and down, and he asks, so you are an alchemist, my friend? He sees the bits of reagents and potions and stuff that would be on your person.
I'm a brewer. I'll look him straight in the eyes, tell him I'm a brewer, and I'm not lying. That's what I call myself.
Fair enough. He kind of he gets a little awkward as he yes, a brewer of course, that is what I meant. Absolutely. He leads you down this passage, and it is not too long before you two are by yourselves. You can't hear the commotion of the rest of the place. You find yourself in this room that's covered in like about waist high to a human purple mushrooms. And he tells you that
Did you just say about waist high to a human's purple mushroom?
waist high to a human's purple mushroom.
Okay, purple mushroom. I'm thinking of
Purple mushrooms that are up to a human's waist.
Yes, exactly. Van gets it.
I already cut out. I just heard about waist high to a human purple mushroom.
Well, I mean, you got the gist, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Eat this purple mushroom, baby.
Yeah. You actually find Pogue.
Oh, no.
At a
Anyway,
human's waist. Yeah.
Armando tells you that some friends of his once had to prevent the poisoning of a city, and in the process they found these spores. He didn't mushrooms grow here, but he recognizes that it's the same thing. He tells you that the spores are highly toxic. So a brewer such as yourself might be able to do something with them, but do be careful. And he, like, as he says this, he steps back with us, trying to get like as much him and the purple possible.
Okay, I'll look at it and I'll say, if anything happens to me, throw me in a lake, and I'll grab one of the purple mushrooms and take a big old bite out of it.
All right, make it for.
You guys still there?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yes, Van. He looks considerably wealthy, much more wealthy than everyone around him.
Okay.
You bite into this mushroom, like instantly as your teeth connect with it, like a cloud of spores bursts into your face. You feel really woozy. You're able to shake it off, but you get the feeling that that was probably not the best thing you could have done.
When you're a troll, you can afford to do these things. I'll shove a bunch of it into my pack. Thank Armando.
Armando! As he says this, you hear this like echoing like do, 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 do.
Tom, you are missing Armando's full name. You need to do it justice.
I don't remember his like. Oh god. Jeff is still in Discord. There's a chance he hears this. Like Armando something 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 de Estrada, the fourth. I think fourth. Some kind of number, that's for sure.
The numbered.
I was really surprised there was no Jesus in there, though.
Oh yeah, there was.
Was there a Jesus? I think there might have been a Jesus. No, I think that was his dad's name.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I'm going to put everything away. No, not everything away. I'm gonna put a bunch of the mushrooms into my pack, and I'm going to thank Armando and head back.
Okay. As you begin to head back, he gets really somber, and Armando tells you, as he pulls this potion out of his backpack, and he tells you that this used to belong to a friend of his who died fighting this rebellion that they found themselves fighting, and he hands it to you, and he says that he hopes perhaps you can make better use of it. The potion swirls with like blue and purple colors, like kind of like fighting against each other, like the blue is trying to dominate purple is trying to dominate the blue, that kind of thing.
Nice. I will thank him. I will, rather awkwardly and gangly, like pat him on the shoulder, be like, well, thank you.
He accepts it. He probably looks a little put off that you're touching him, but he accepts it.
Then I will leave.
Alright, let's bump over to, I think Van is next. I gotta run back to the initiative that I didn't write down. Yeah. Yep, Van is indeed next. Okay. You're on, Van.
So, Pogue walks
like
out.
I said, you find there's plenty of people like talking and laughing and carrying on.
Pogue walks out kind of into the middle and kind of looks around and stretches a little bit at his hips and He's like, these people look like they haven't had a good lay in a time. Maybe I can find out some information and make some friends while we're at it. And so then he kind of like looks to see where the center of attention in the room is going to be.
Okay, make a perception check.
Okay. And God. Perception. I keep forgetting there's another way to do this.
The most interesting thing you see, and it's not too terribly far from you, there's a makeshift table that's been set up, and a human and what looks to be like an anthropomorphic crow.
Okay.
They're playing some sort of card game. The human has a cat sitting on his shoulder that, like, as he's playing, the cat, like, boops him.
So
from your height, you can see that both of them are hiding cards, like, in their boots or, like, at their belts. They're both cheating, just horrendously.
So comes up as sort of androgynous little swagger kind of thing and says, now, boys, there's no need to cheat. There's plenty of love to go around in this place. And he gets up on the middle of the table, like, just, if there's cards or money or whatever, he's like...
Combination of the two, probably.
Yeah, just steps in the middle of it. And he goes, ladies and gentlemen, who wants to have a good time?
As you do this, the anthropomorphic crow begins to flap his arms and just starts squawking, like, what is this strange doing? And, like, as he does so, cards go everywhere, including the cards that he's hiding, and the human stands up indignantly, and, like, they begin accusing each other of cheating, and the scene just kind of devolves really fast.
All right, so he's not interested in them. He's like, huh, nice cock, and then jumps off and goes over to, like, whatever the next group is. He's like getting in the middle of it to see, like, who's having a good time, like where he can find some people to hang out with, maybe, hasn't been, had any action in a long time. He's not particularly particular. He's kind of, he's going to apply his courtesan trade, but maybe give him a discount and, in exchange for information and stuff. Like,
okay. So as you go away, the anthropomorphic crow, like, he's a combination of, like, reaching for what looks like an oversized rapier, essentially, with a triangular blade that's hanging from his back, as the human is reaching for a short sword and a dagger, like they're going to fight each other over this card game. But
now, boys,
the crow looks at
anybody,
I am not a cock. I am a tengu. I am amazing. And he just flaps his arms more, and as he does so, he, like, jumps up on the table, mimicking what you do pretty much exactly.
Right. So then I do it back. So I flap my arms like wings, and I go, well, whether it's a cock or a tengu or a purple-headed mushroom, I don't care.
Who said anything about purple-headed mushrooms, small mammal?
Ask your boyfriend what a purple-headed mushroom is.
The human, like, just indignantly, gets up. What did you just say to me? The cat, like, arches its back and starts, like, hissing and spitting at you. And as it does this, the tengu, like, visibly recoils and steps, like, 4 or 5 steps away from this cat, just kind of, like, stuttering and panicking and squawking as he goes.
So I look at the human and I walk right up to him, and I put my finger on his lips and kind of down his chin and his chest to sort of point at his heart. And I go, you're kind of cute, my friend, but that's not the kind of pussy I'm used to.
He slaps your hand away. And as, like, he slaps your hand away and he turns towards the tengu and they begin arguing. And, like, as they do this, they, like, slowly they stop paying attention to you. And, like, they're more concerned about the fact that the other is cheating at this game of cards.
All right. Well, Pogue really doesn't give a shit.
Fair enough. So you go to another place, then you go find another.
Yeah.
Okay, make a perception check.
All right.
Okay, so you probably walk for about 10 minutes, give or take, until eventually your hand like accidentally swats down like to your side where your weapon would be hanging, and you haven't been thinking about it until just now, and you realize your weapon is gone missing.
Oh, for fuck's sake. So, is there any chance that I was actually near anybody previously?
There's a lot of people. You get this feeling that like anybody could have picked your pocket essentially as you were moving through this place.
So is it so? I guess I'll walk back and retrace my steps and see if I notice anything. And
Okay, so you begin to retrace your steps, and eventually you turn this corner, and that Tengu. Well, you don't know what I imagine you don't know what a Tengu is, being from Taldor. So you see anthropomorphic crow man, but you know what a Tengu is.
right, well,
It's standing in front of you.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm tired. Anyway, he holds out your weapon in its sheath and just begins like holding it like above your head, like making you jump for it. And just as he's doing so, like, just come on, little human, don't you want your sword back? Just continuing to squawk and like puff himself up, like trying to make himself bigger than he actually is.
Okay, so I want to feint, bluff, and use mage and use mage hand to grab my sword.
All right, roll it. Yeah. Okay. You the sword like flies out of the Tengu's hand and ends up in yours, and you just begin squawking. Just, this cannot happen to Magpie. Magpie is amazing. We've taken the sword from Magpie, and he like tries to like grab it.
I thought you were a Tengu.
My name is Magpie.
So now I hold it out of his reach with mage hand.
He squawks and jumps, but he can't quite reach it. You notice, like, as he does this, the sword, like, as you're, like, spinning it out of his reach, it catches what little light there is where you are, and it reflects, and, like, as the shiny reflects and hits him, he cannot drool, for he has a beak, but, kind of like that, like, dumb expression that,
right, that,
ooh, shiny kind of thing, and he's just, like, he is desperate to have this.
Right. Hey, Cock, you don't get the sword.
I am not Cock. I am Magpie. Magpie is amazing. Magpie is not Cock.
Magpie is a thief.
What Magpie is or isn't is not up for discussion here. Magpie likes shiny, and he continues to just like grab for the sword.
But you need to find another shiny magpie.
Magpie likes this shiny.
Nope. And if I find you taking it again, I'll have somebody cut your hands off.
He begins I'm not going to squawk that loud, but he squawks that loud and indignantly storms off around the corner as he does so. Just like, you've scared him off, but he's too proud to admit that he's scared, so he just kind of like turns the corner and just like ruffles his feathers away.
All right.
You got a natural 20, so I'll say as he does so, he drops a little coin purse. He doesn't seem to notice.
Okay.
And like, so you hear like a clink.
I pick up the coin purse and I say, "Hey, Magpie."
Huh?
Like nicely. Say,
but nicely.
But no, I say it nicely, like, "Magpie, you dropped this," and I toss it to him.
He catches it and thank you, tiny human. You can tell that the disguise you're wearing is completely working on him, and he thinks you are a human child. He opens it up eagerly, and like you can hear not necessarily the clink of gold, but like bits of like shattered gems and glass and stuff ruffle, just shiny stuff that he's put in this bag. He makes this big bow and then quickly turns the corner because he knows he's been had, and he doesn't want to like chance his reputation anymore.
Right. Just remember that, Magpie. Remember that.
And you remember that Magpie is amazing! Like,
I'm sure
I
you
think
are, Magpie.
Sarah is next in the initiative, I think. I gotta scroll way up. I should have wrote it down. Yeah, Sarah was next. Okay, so Sarah, you have the place to your... Well, not the place. The whole mine! No. Everybody's left that room you were in. The door is still open. You could leave if you wanted, and you hear people talking. But you have the place to yourself. It's not quiet by any stretch of the word, but it's... You got that solitude you wanted.
Alright, then I'll be rather lame and go into the corner and, well, I'll shut the door and go into the corner and sit quietly.
There's not really much of a door to shut, so much as like the wall opens. Just imagine like snap your fingers, make it happen, like Mustafa was.
Alright, I suppose I'll try and find a quieter place.
Roll perception. There's not really anywhere much quieter than here, and awkwardly stumble your way out of this room. It's hard for you to not be noticed, dressed as you are, and a lot of people like recoil visibly as you walk past them. They're obviously afraid of you. Of course, this is normal fare for a priest of Asmodeus, but you also have like at the same time there's 4 or 5 like other emotions going through your head that you're completely like unfamiliar with. You feel bad that these people are afraid of you. You feel desires to make them like no longer be afraid of you, to console them, that kind of thing. And all of these emotions like wrestle around in your head. You don't know exactly what you're doing with them. Again, it's all completely new to you.
Alright, I will continue to try and go and find a place to cope with these emotions.
Okay, make a will save. I guess I need to get a little closer to the computer so I can see what you were. Did you need that one?
No.
You did not. Okay, so you
She nat
you
forward.
feel you nat forward a little about knee high to a purple mushroom now. About knee high to a human. There's a little like anthropomorphic frog. It there's a longbow strapped to its back. Though it is only about a foot tall, it looks more than capable of defending itself. It, like everything else, recoils from you, but you feel the urge to like reach down and console it. You see this little tiny little thing, and you've scared it, and you feel bad, and you genuinely feel an urge to make that better.
Papa Marriage is having trouble coping with these emotions. I don't like feelings.
But what do you do about what I said on the will save? The little frog thing continues to just like recoil away from you, obviously pretty terrified.
I'll try and bend down and like show that I mean no harm in some way, reluctantly and nervously.
The little frog thing approaches you, and like your hand is probably about as big as its like head and neck. So that's a little like frog hand in yours, really tentatively, and it kind of like shakes it. And it looks really confused, but it doesn't say anything. It just continues to look with these big old frog eyes, look up at you, blinking. It's not sure what's going to happen next.
I'll say I'm sorry if I've frightened you.
The little frog thing. It looks really perplexed that you would say this, and it continues to shake your hand back. And as it does so, you see a kind of like a little charm bracelet around that hand, and there's a little like a black and white mask, Nethys's holy symbol, hanging from it, and it like jiggles and jangles as it awkwardly shakes your hand, and it asks you like what you're doing here, how you were able to get in here, why aren't you dead? As it says that last bit, it kind of reaches for a little dagger that's hanging at its side. Definitely a little dagger to you because this thing borderlines on size category tiny.
So it's like a toothpick.
More or less.
All right. I'll briefly explain what's going on. Just but keep it most details like close to the chest.
Okay. The little frog thing, it asks if you need a friend. They kind of spread this arms for us. It looks like you need a friend.
Yeah, I need a friend.
It's like
Lost you.
yes, in fact, you did lose me. It puts a little frog hand on his chest and starts like climbing up him awkwardly, and like all its like gear kind of clings and clangs around, and not quite on your bicep, not quite on your shoulder, but like where your elbow starts to where your shoulder begins, pretty much is where it's hanging out. It doesn't say anything, but it pats you on the back. It's like, I'll be your helper. It's okay. What do you do, Sarah?
I don't know. I've never had a friend before.
Make some kind of knowledge check. Yep, I knew it. Classic Tommy. Bring back XPCs. What kind of knowledge check are you rolling, Sarah?
I'm trying to figure that out.
It's entirely up. I don't know, like, check. It's up to you. But I know you have all of them because Ancestors Oracle.
I'm gonna go for knowledge local.
Okay. Okay, you are entirely sure that little anthropomorphic frogs are not, like, you wouldn't find them living in the desert most of the time. You get the feeling that this little thing is from very, very, very far away from here. The clothes it wears are sort of like, they evoke a sense of like a tribal nature to you. It's not necessarily running around like in a loincloth, but lots of like animal furs, like it had come from like a barbarian village somewhere. You're not quite sure. You imagine, like, you've heard like there are different variants of goblin across the Larion. Like you've got Arctic goblins and Irisin, monkey goblins, Wongi bands, on and on. This might be something like that. Again, like you're not entirely sure. You just, this person has probably come a very, very long way to be where you are now. Do you have anything else you want to do?
So like, you know how people will be like, so where are you from? Like awkwardly. I'll like kind of do one of those because I don't really know how to act in a social situation.
Okay. The frog thing pats you on the back and it says that it's from a lot of places and it's really complicated. So it tells you that it used to live a long time ago in the Mwangi Expanse, which you know it's somewhere in the southern continent. But it goes on to say that just it's been a lot of places in its time. It doesn't really have too much of a home. So now I'm here.
Okay, that's nice. I say awkwardly.
It pats you on the back again. I've given somebody else something special. What can I give Emeritus? Okay, yeah, sure. The
I
little
didn't
frog.
get anything special.
You got a bag. You didn't get stuff from the bag.
Oh, okay.
You gave the bag away.
No, okay.
That's a special thing in and of itself. That's the quote. Your alignment shifts 1 point towards good now.
I'm already good. All right.
Oh, great! Then you're super good. You have transcended all good.
You're complaining about not getting purple mushrooms or a kiss. Hey, you got sacked, dude.
Yeah, you got some sack.
I would have had thought that.
Oh, you win. You win.
I would have had thought you would have had taken the gold. Free money.
Free money indeed. The little frog thing pulls a little coin out of its pocket, and it has Nethys's holy symbol carved in it. It's a really it almost looks like this individual made it themselves, and it doesn't really hand it to you because it's hanging on you, but it drops it into the palm of your hand, I guess. Yeah. And it says, "You can have this." And as you hold it, you feel yourself you feel a little luckier as you hold this. You feel like everything is kind of going your way, kind of like a small drop of Felix Felicis, I suppose. Mechanically, is a luck stone, and it gives you a +1 luck bonus to all 3 of your saves.
Your luck has permanently increased by 1.
More or less. Now let's go to Donald for the last little bit, shall we?
Wait, so is it me and someone else went to the?
Just you.
No,
Well,
let's
this
split
is
up.
all technically happening at the same time, but the way initiative fell, you are by yourself at this point.
Okay. So what do I see?
Make a perception check. You don't see anything I haven't already really described. Lots of people talking in boisterous voices.
Okay. So is there any among the common monk here? Is there any important people that are more important than the average commoner?
I haven't done this yet for this campaign. Roll percentage dice for me, would you? D100. This is how I solve all my problems in real life. Real life tabletopping. Do I need to go to work today? Roll percentage dice. No, not like that.
Okay, so 55.
55. Okay, sure. You see a man who's wearing just baggy black pants, and that's it. He stands about 7 foot tall, and he's got this dark gray, clammy skin, and there's a line on his forehead that looks like there might be another eye there or something closed. You're an intelligent person. You probably recognize Tien, but I know you don't speak it. He is doing martial arts, and as he does so, he's repeating the same few phrases in Tien. And it looks kind of like an Ifrit, but minus the horns and the lava skin. It's just kind of it has fire for hair, and his skin is more like a Fire Ganassi in 5e, more or less. Its skin is a bright gold. Its eyes are gold. It has this shield, and the big monk is kicking and punching at it, chanting this something you don't understand in Tien at this shield, and they're training together.
Okay, so does it look like they are going to be stopping anytime soon?
The big guy looks like he could go for a long, long, long time.
So let's see. It's probably a good idea not to get in between those two fighting each other. So, is there any more? Is there any wizards, divine type of people in the room?
Make another percentage die roll, would you?
So 63.
63. The Ifrit holding the shield that's training with this monk. He gets an especially hard kick in the shield, and as he does so, Serenre's holy symbol jostles itself around his neck. He's wearing it on a necklace, and it swings around. The shield kind of catches him in the jaw. You can hear a crack, and the Ifrit's jaw is broken. Super obviously, he's missing teeth. He curses out in. Do you understand Ignan? You probably don't understand Ignan.
Nope.
Well, he yells something really loud in Ignan. And then after that, he starts incanting something, and positive energy like floods his body, and you hear the like snap of his jaw resetting. And the Ifrit looks at the big monk with the gray skin. Is Zeal is okay. You come again. You come at me. He like pulls up his shield, and as he does so, the shield changes to a spear, just like midair. And then the man named Zeal continues to block the monk, who continues chanting in this language. And like midway through, the spear changes to a battle axe, and he starts swinging at the monk, and the monk starts catching it. As they go on, this weapon continues to just change to like any weapon you could possibly dream up in your head. This weapon becomes it.
So what I think I could probably talk to either of the two, or are they just focused on the fighting?
You can give it a go.
Okay, I'm going to talk to, let's see, the guy that healed himself looked more important, so I'm going to talk to him.
All right.
Wonderful show. I seen from the distance.
The man, as you do this, the big monk stops attacking the hell out of this Ifrit, essentially. And he turns to you in this really gruff voice, just, "Who the hell are you?" And the Ifrit raises his hand and just, "Easy now, big guy. It is okay. This is our new friend. Hello." He comes up and he grabs your hand and he picks it up and he kisses it. And as he does so, this big boisterous nature that he has turns into like really cheesy, like bad movie hitting on you, essentially.
Okay.
Zeal is so happy to have met someone as glorious and beautiful as you are.
No,
Welcome to our little hole.
Oh, this is a nice place. Nice place you have. I noticed you have a lot of able-bodied fighters, which is quite nice. I recognize at least a few from what would be the martial order, the Dawnflower.
The Ifrit nods and he just, "Yes, Zeal is a member of the Dawnflower since the day he was born. The glorious Serenre has blessed Zeal with the power of fire." Says this like he holds out his hand and it like bursts into flame.
Fire.
He shakes it, just like kind of like trying to be all smooth, and he just like shakes it, blows on it, the fire disappears.
I can make fire as well, and I use one of my fire cantrips, and then blow it out. Make a small fire and then blow it out.
The Ifrit laughs "You are almost as magnificent. How wonderful." Bows. The big make some kind of knowledge check. Well, you're intelligent. Roll like knowledge of the plan. If I had more time on my hands, I would edit out between roll this and the actual roll.
Yeah, so
18.
7.
Okay, so you get closer to the big monk, like I described. He has really pale gray skin. He's bald except for a neat queue in the back that like hangs down like past his waist. Now that you're a little closer, you've never seen a tiefling quite like this before, but you've heard that in Tiansha, which is Pathfinder's equivalent of Japan, or rather all of Asia, I guess, rather, across the sea, creatures called Oni will sometimes interbreed with humans. And when they do so, this variant of tiefling is the result. You're closer to him, and he begins looking you up and down, like assessing you like you might be a potential threat.
I am examining him. He is quite a fine specimen for being a tiefling.
He, like, as you're examining, he grunts. Just, "You got something to say, little woman?"
No. I am just analyzing talent when I see it.
"Why don't you go analyze somewhere else?" And as he says this, like, his eyes don't necessarily like change colors, but his stare intensifies in orders of magnitude, and he just like it gets really awkward and uncomfortable really fast.
Why don't we go away from him and have a nice chat? Maybe over a drink?
Roll a diplomacy check.
This feels very, very awkward, having a guy hitting on me.
That's what you get for playing a woman. You describe your character as pretty attractive somewhere in your backstory.
True.
At 6 foot tall, 100 pounds.
So 13.
The Ifrit, he chuckles and he says that Zeal is better off spending time with Big Sheehan over here. Isn't that right, Sheehan? And he like gets between you and the tiefling as fast as he can, pretty much. He turns towards the tiefling and he's like, I think Sheehan, maybe we are done for today. Maybe we go find a place to sit. Maybe we have some food. Maybe we call it a night. What do you say, buddy? And the tiefling grunts and turns and walks away.
Is there anyone else I could probably talk to? I want to gather more information on the Ifriti to get on to its good side, if possible.
Okay, there's not really anyone, like... Pretty much everybody had been observing the fight between Sheehan and Zeal. Everybody else around you is, like, just a common rube, basically. Lots of, like, low-rank soldiers or unwashed peasants, essentially.
Okay, so the...
But there's nothing saying, like, you couldn't follow him. Zeal, like, as he's leading Sheehan off, he looks behind him and kind of winks at you and just kind of, like, waves you on.
Okay, I continue going in their direction. It'd probably be nice to break the ice if we're going to be working together, might as well on any terms if possible.
Okay. You follow him for about 5 minutes, we'll say, until they come upon, like, the first unoccupied makeshift table. You probably pass, like, a table that's been flipped over, and there's a bunch of, like, coins and then, like, playing cards all over the place. You sit down at this table, and Zeal snaps his fingers, and as he does so, like, cups of water and bread appear. Sheehan begins, like, ceremonially breaking his bread and eating it in a really slow, methodical manner, not taking his eyes off you at all, but also not saying anything. And Zeal looks at you and he's just, so, what is a woman like you doing in a rebellion like this?
Me and, well, my associates, we came to join the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to have a short chat as you're quite the busy man fighting after all. I want to know about the Ifriti that lead us. What is it?
You mean Lord Mustafa? Yes, Zeal knows all about Lord Mustafa. What is it you would like to know?
How do I get onto his good side? It seems me and one of my other associates didn't get along well with him.
You say this, and, like, between mouthfuls of bread and water, Sheehan just, you get on his good side by reminding him that he has betrayed his nature. And, like, he continues to just, like, chew through this bread. He's oblivious to the fact that he's being uncouth by talking with his mouth full, essentially, and Zeal just laughs it off. And Mustafa, he has been through a lot. I was not born of him. I am not of the plane of fire, though I am skilled with fire. And as he says this, his arms, like, burst into flames again. Like, he's definitely trying to showboat.
I am
Mustafa, he just wants to help. He has spent many years in how you say, lamp? Yes, in the lamp, serving people, granting the wishes. It weighs on poor Mustafa. Yes, and Zeal understands this. He just wants to do what is right for the people instead of being what he used to be. And Sheehan just, like, grunts, really, with, like the disdain seeps through his voice as he says this. Oh, as he grunts this, rather, I guess I should say.
So, if I do enough good deeds, will that help me get on to...
Zeal nods, and he says that we're all here to do good, and No good deed goes unpunished here in our little rebellion.
As you like, anyway.
And as he says this, you notice he's not carrying the strange weapon anymore, and he pulls out what's probably like a couple inches long and about an inch wide, just like think like a pencil. And he sets it on the table and he says, "This is Zeal's good deed for the day. You may have this." Didn't catch a word of that, bud. I see you lit up, but I don't hear you. Does anybody hear him?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
There
Okay,
he
cool.
is now.
Okay, good.
We did it.
I thought I had mic issues.
A story of my fucking life.
Okay, so I asked him, so to get on his good side, would doing good deeds help with that?
Did you not catch anything I had said at all?
No, you
Okay.
cut out on me.
Boo. Okay, so he says that we're all here to do. Every good deed helps turn this decadent empire into a land where we all can live in peace and harmony. And he pulls, like I said, about the length of an unsharpened pencil, just a little like wooden stick, and he sets it on the table in front of you, and he just, "This is Zeal's good deed for the day." And he gets up and he goes and joins another group of people, and you hear him just talking super loud and boisterously about himself as like this group of people goes on. Sheehan continues to eat and just stare at you like he doesn't know anything about social etiquette at all.
Well, I'm going to let him be in peace. So let's see. I learned how to get onto the Mafasu good side by doing good deeds. So that will help me get some leverage. But that's what I think mentally. Yeah.
Right, and you have that little, like I said, like a pencil just kind of sitting on the table.
So I take the pencil.
Okay, you pick it up, and as you pick it up, it in your hand it turns into a dagger, just like instantaneously to like fit in your hand, just molds itself, and suddenly you are holding a dagger.
So I analyze the dagger. So what kind of dagger is it?
Make some kind of check.
Let's see. So if it's a magic item, then it would probably be a spellcraft or arcana. So which one do you think is more appropriate?
Your call. Both are fine.
Go with arcana. So 21, arcana.
Okay, so it's super obvious that the pencil that turned into a dagger is some kind of enchanted, and in we'll say the first language, in Draconic, why not? There's a bunch of like swirling text written up and down the length of the blade. They're like it looks like a basic transmutation spell, but you get the feeling there's a lot more to it than that.
Okay, so what should I just call this item to analyze it later?
Whatever you want to call it.
So magic.
Actually, make a perception check, would you?
14.
Okay, so as you're analyzing, and
wait. I also have a detect magic scroll to use as well to learn more. As well.
Would you like to?
Sure.
Okay.
I have that.
Okay, so like I said, as you're analyzing the dagger, you look around and you see this really big orc carrying a double-headed, or not double-headed, but like a double-ended axe. And you fixate on that for like half a second, and that half a second is long enough for this dagger in your hands to transform into an orc double axe, and you like keel over because it's so heavy and you don't expect it, and just like you pitch forward with the weight of this weapon.
So it's a so using weather knowledge, this weapon, does it have a transformative enchantment?
You get the feeling that that is the case, yes.
Okay.
The weapon can become whatever kind of weapon you think of. Whatever kind of damage you want to deal, it can deal bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage.
Cool. So I will think of a name for this magic weapon later, and I say thank you to the to the Zell, and to say thank you for this item. I leave him with how a lady would actually leave a gentleman's company.
He smiles and he grabs your hand.
Mhm.
I hope I will see you soon, my lady. Sheehan grunts really loud with like just all the disdain and disapproval in the world as he does this.
Okay, I go off, leaving him in his sour mood.
Fair enough. So this is probably a pretty good stopping place for the night.
Yes.
Yeah, it is after 10. We all got a little roleplay fun in.
Yes.
So we're just stopping out the stream. We go.
Mm.
And